Hey guys, today we're going to talk about how much shoulder range of motion do you need overhead in order to keep your shoulder healthy doing a split jerk. So, that position of the top of the split jerk, let's take a peek at it here, is going to look like this, okay? Now that top position there is going to be the sum of our thoracic extension, our scapulothoracic upward rotation, right? Scapulothoracic being the articulation between the scapula and the thoracic spine, so that scapula is that moving, and then your glenohumeral joint, okay? So what we know is the joint that has the least wiggle room for improving your range of motion would be that thoracic spine. The average person has anywhere from 10 to 25 degrees of extension there. So we're going to focus more on that glenohumeral and that scapulothoracic joint for the sake of this conversation right here today. So that top position is going to be not just directly in line with my body above my head, but slightly beyond it. So your sum of thoracic extension, scapulothoracic range of motion, and glenohumeral range of motion needs to be greater than 180 degrees. Where 0 is going to be right at your side, 90 is going to be right in front of you, and up top directly above is 180. And again, on that split jerk, we need to look at that head through, so slightly beyond the 180. If we take the assumption that everybody has thoracic extension capacity of 10 to 25 degrees, which is not always the case, but for the sake of this conversation, then what we know is we need anywhere in the ballpark of at least 160, 170 degrees of glenohumeral and scapulothoracic flexion range of motion, okay? And I would argue for a healthy shoulder, the more the better in this scenario, okay? What we're gonna do to test what we have is, I'm gonna lay on my back on the bench, because we don't want the ground to be limiting us here. I'm gonna bend my knees, I'm gonna tuck my tailbone and keep my abs tight, so I don't use any extension from my spine as a compensation mechanism here. Keep my back nice and flat against the ground. What I'm going to do, with my elbow locked out, thumb pointing down, I'm going to see how far down can I get my shoulder without my back coming off the ground. Okay? And again, 180 is going to be straight in line with my body, 90 is going to be right here, and measure how far can you get down. You'll be surprised how many people can only get to like roughly 150 degrees, and that's all they can go. And then they wonder, why do I have shoulder pain when I try to do a split jerk or an overhead position? It's because they just don't have the capacity or the range of motion to get there. So work on that overhead range of motion with the scapulothoracic and the glenohumeral joint, and you'll feel fine.